Welcome in. That's a tap. We recap UFC 313. DJ's with me. The man, how you doing, DJ?
Yeah, doing good, man. Doing good. Um, long, bit of a 3 days removed from the main event or the pay per view card, I should say. There was a main event in there. Yeah, man, pretty excited. Did you watch the fight? Did you catch all the fights? And what did you think of the card?
And the co-main was what I was really looking out for. But the prelims, the start of the main card with a huge KO for Ruffy.
Yeah,
We'll talk about that
yeah,
spinning leg kick.
absolutely, man.
But everything else, like the main event, we're going to get into it. It was a
Yeah.
surprise. How about you?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, man. Like I wouldn't say. I mean, like we did say that it's going to be a 50-50 fight. It could go either way, and Ankalaev was technically more skilled or better, well rounded on paper. Kind of played out partly like that, but at the same time also, the surprising factor was that there was no takedowns landed, which is a massive accolade in terms of Pereira's standpoint. But then again, like the letdown really was the striking department from Alex Pereira, and being a kickboxer, it was just very interesting to note that that's where sort of where we expected him to be a little bit more aggressive. We kind of saw the opposite. But I mean, mate, with that, let's get into it. Like, I mean, that's a good segue into the main event. Like, I think the big question that got asked, and it's still a discussion point at the moment, is that did they get the winner right? Was the decision correct? And I think I'll put that to you. Once at the end of the fifth round, and they did take a while for Bruce Buffer to come in and announce the results. Did you think like the right winner was picked?
Because look, I've changed my mind a little bit. You obviously get the benefit of the doubt, man, to go back and rewatch it. But right after the emotions were flowing and I was really feeling rough for Alex, because I felt like, as the champion, I felt like he'd done enough. I thought
Yeah,
definitely the bookends, the round 1 and 5, and the
yeah,
middle ones are the ones supposedly in doubt. But I felt
yeah,
like he definitely got one of those three in the middle.
yeah,
And look, to take it away from him, I felt like, Ankalaev could have been really had to be more, convincing in those three
yeah,
rounds.
yeah,
But then watching a bit back, I thought, okay, like you could definitely make a case for those three to go to Ankalaev, because
yeah,
he was active, and he was,
yeah,
he was hurting him. He was
mm,
pushing him back. He was
yeah,
the aggressor, and I really felt like, Alex was just, backing up too
yeah,
much, And so, look, based on that, give it to the aggressor. I got no problem with it anymore, but
yeah,
I still really feel like Alex underperformed. But credit
yeah.
to Ankalaev, man. Do you agree?
Absolutely.
What do you think?
100%, man, spot on. Like you just pretty much took the words out of my mouth. But the only thing though is like at the end of that fifth round, and I was watching it with a couple of people, and I remember turning to them and saying before, like as soon as the fifth round the bell rang, I said, "Look, I think we have a new light heavyweight champion." I did think Ankalaev won that fight, and I thought it was like a clear victory. I don't think there was any controversy. It was a close fight. Don't get me wrong. But close in terms of inactivity. And those are the type of fights we don't really like to see. You know what I mean? Like when you get close fights with a lot of action from either side, that's a different story. But then you come to this other end of the spectrum where you got, very minimal activity. If you look at the strikes thrown, they're not a lot. Yeah, uh, sort of close in terms of that. But if you go round by round, how I had it, first round, not much happened. And Alex Pereira was sort of landing some strikes. So I just felt like, you know what, first round goes to Alex Pereira. I really thought from there on he'll just step on the gas. Second round was 100% Ankalaev, especially that um, when he got rocked at the end. Alex Pereira got rocked at the end, and man, seems like a pattern. Like every time he gets rocked towards the end of a round, and then the bell saves him. Look, if that was like a minute earlier, I feel like that would have been a finish. So we've got to take that into consideration. And I think I sort of felt like since that point forward, more so than the previous two rounds, Pereira was being a little bit gun shy. He wasn't engaging like we've used to seeing him do. He's always the aggressor. He always moves forward. We've seen that with the Prohashkas, the Khalil Roundtrees. Even when Khalil Roundtree was, coming at him with everything, and he still was standing in the pocket, trading, being the aggressor, slipping, all those kind of things. Whereas it kind of looked frozen a little bit here. And I feel like that's partly due to the threat of wrestling or grappling from Ankalaev, because he's in the back of his mind, he's ready to sort of. That is what happens when you get like a dominant wrestler and you're fighting a dominant grappler, and the storyline that's built around it is that well, can he stop the takedowns? Start putting too much focus on not getting taken down and wanting to prove a point there. You just kind of forget your bread and butter. In this case, is striking. And I felt, yeah, like the third round was, I mean, yeah, man, it was up and down, but really, like I felt like again, Ankalaev was moving forward, and you said something when Alex Pereira was constantly on the back foot. That doesn't really paint a good picture. You know what I mean? There's always counter striking, yes, but in this instance, it just felt like he was just going backwards, but there was nothing much happening. Right? Where were those leg kicks that we're used to seeing? You know what I mean? Like, uh, I felt they would play a big factor, but yes, they were there. There was his most dominant or prominent strike throughout the whole 5 rounds was that leg kick, but it just wasn't used effectively like we're used to seeing him do that. Just mixing it up, leg then to the head. We just didn't see that as much. And then the fourth round again, like sort of similar story, man. Like just not really much to divulge in there. And then you go into the fifth round, and you got the obviously the control against the fence. Obviously not a lot of people are a fan of that. And look, again, I felt like Mark Goddard. At times, I think there was once when he stepped in and he sort of broke them off and brought them back to the center of the cage. I get it. It wasn't really much happening. Yeah, but kudos to Alex Pereira for not getting taken down. I think that was a big storyline. But when outside of that, sort of nothing happened. Like he didn't, really justify winning that fight convincingly. And while I was quite convinced at the end of that fight, okay, well, I think Ankalaev won that fight. The only thing that sort of made me sort of question that take was, okay, well, there is this silly thing in MMA or in combat sports. If you gotta take it from the champion, and I don't know, like that in that sense, I didn't know if he had done enough to do that. But I just thought the right person won, and I think, yeah, I mean, 100% agree that Ankalaev was the right victor. Um, and I think they're talking about a rematch, which will be very interesting because now what will happen is he's going to now be confident that the takedowns can be defended. So he's going to sort of strike more, but I feel like that'll pay way for Ankalaev to take him down more. Do you know what I mean? I think a little bit more activity from Alex Pereira could have got him that victory. A little bit more aggression. I think, yeah, I guess we just didn't see that. Um, there was a lot of talk in terms of preparation for this fight being his toughest fight. Did he do enough? Was he on the road too much leading up to the fight? And look, I don't think they've addressed that as of yet. But credit to both guys. I think they gave each other their dues, and yeah, Ankalaev said, "Look, I'm ready for a rematch," and Alex Pereira sort of he didn't really come out and vocalize that he wants the rematch, but he said he's just going to get back to training. And those things usually say a lot of things, man. Like when you're not like screaming for that rematch again, kind of tells you, okay, maybe he feels that this guy's a little bit too much to handle. But seems like Dana White also is in line with wanting that rematch, but we just got to wait and see.
Was even enough, 3 rounds
Mm-hmm.
to two.
Yeah,
Sal Diamato, the controversy comes from him, giving him, a
yeah,
10. He gave Ankalaev a 10 round in round 5, which is the
yeah,
one that everyone agrees pretty much. Well, most people agree that Pereira got it, but
yeah.
the grappling is in the favour of Ankalaev, but he didn't do anything with it.
Nah, that
And
was
obviously Goddard had to separate them
yeah,
as well. But
yeah,
yeah, I'm with you. I agree. I'm not surprised Pereira wouldn't be clamouring for a rematch because, you've just sort of been
yeah,
outmatched and you feel like,
yeah,
look, this guy, I've met my match and I really feel like he's got the well-rounded game in terms of
yeah,
to stand up and go toe-to-toe with Alex Pereira, like
yeah,
trading strikes. Like he's got the complete package, and
Yep.
I really do think a rematch would be 50-50. What do you think? What
I
odds
mean,
would you
man,
give on a rematch?
it could be an unpopular opinion, but I'll probably give it 30-70 favoring Ankalaev. And I would like even say he'd probably win a lot more convincingly the second time around. Is this it's just because I just feel like it? Yeah, there was a. Ooh, I reckon like he just gotta believe in what he's really good at, which is his striking. And I think sort of from a strength standpoint, he also probably realizes that this guy is as strong as me, if not maybe even slightly stronger, man. He couldn't. I mean, we can't say he couldn't knock him out because we didn't really see him land anything flush. Right? We know that Ankalaev wobbled him. That's something that, of course, we've got to acknowledge. But I just feel like wrestling will play a bigger factor in the second one. And I feel like now with the confidence of Alex thinking that I won't get taken down could lead to complacency, and that could then eventuate in some takedowns to in favor of Ankalaev. But again, am I down to watch the rematch? Yes, but just my unpopular opinion is that it's just going to be a lot more easier, or a little bit more easier for Ankalaev to get the victory.
Yeah, definitely, man. And so yeah, that's the big surprise, and we'll wait to see what happens with a rematch. Obviously, our predictions were both wrong because we
Yeah,
both
man.
went our man Alex, but so did most of
They
the
went with
world.
the
But look,
heart.
credit,
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, all the credit in the world to the new champ now.
yeah.
Did you see the Izzy reaction to it?
Yeah, man, like he disagrees with the decision. Am I correct in saying that?
Yeah, I think he did, but it wasn't like he wasn't really.
Yeah. Yeah, no, fair enough. Yeah, no, I haven't seen that reaction yet, but there was mixed reactions. I think majority of them were agreeing with the decision. There was a few that were confused. They said, "Look, you gotta take into consideration, stopping a takedown. That needs to y- play in favor of the person who's defending those takedowns because you didn't really get to take the person down, and the person did a good job not getting taken down." On the other hand, Dana White also agreed that the right person won. So yeah, he also had Ankalaev in the fight. So yeah, I mean that's it, man. That was it. Wasn't like a crazy main event with a lot of action. To be honest, like I think the only interesting part of that main event, if I'm being honest, is that end of that round two where Alex Pereira gets rocked, and yeah, it would have been interesting to see if there was a little bit more time, what would have happened. But outside of that, nothing really exciting happened. So yeah,
Always, he's definitely dazed.
yeah.
But the co-main, the
Oh,
co-main was a lot more, I think, action-packed in the shorter rounds. Gaethje finally back in the win column. I'm happy for him,
absolutely,
and
man.
Fiziev, there seemed to be so much respect between the
Yeah,
two. Did you see after the fight how much respect they were paying for each other?
100%. And there was a lot of respect going into the fight. Fiziev was talking about how he feels like he's Justin Gaethje is giving him a gift by allowing him to fight him, being the number third ranked guy. It's a big opportunity for him, so he stepped up on very short notice. And Gaethje as well, was thankful that Fiziev took the fight because that allowed him to stay on the card, get paid, but also perform and sort of make his case towards getting a title shot. Um, yeah, man, like opposite story here compared to the main event. There was a lot more action in this one. It delivered, and Justin Gaethje fights always deliver, and no surprise it was fight of the night. Yeah, man, like very very similar story to their first fight. The first round was Fiziev, and then I felt this is my opinion, and I felt like second and third Justin Gaethje took over, but took over more convincingly compared to the first fight. But let's keep in mind this was a short notice fight. Like, could Fiziev have performed better? Um, if he if he had done a full camp. But having said that, now we've got news coming out that he probably wants to go down to 145. Given he said, "Look, I took it on short notice, and it was easy for me to cut weight. Like, what's another 10 more pounds? Let me try my luck in another division." So yeah, it's pretty good move. He can make the weight, man. Like, it's a pretty good division. That division's wide open at the moment, so be a good division for him to go make an entrance. But great fight. I think sort of, kept the crowd going. That my whole main card was pretty entertaining, and this was the peak of it. The Gaethje Fiziev, because it was non-stop action. Man, that uppercut when it landed on Fiziev, that was just not just the audience in the stadium, but everyone at home. Everyone probably was jumping out of their seats. Uh, great fight, and obviously no controversy there. Justin Gaethje clearly won that fight. Dana now says that there's a very good chance he's in the title picture mix as well. And I think the UFC would prefer that, because Justin Gaethje is a huge star. Islam Makhachev's a huge star. They know it's like a pay-per-view generator. And they try and stake that case to get Gaethje into a title shot. I think we know, especially in that division, man, it's all about timing. You know what I mean? Like, people get title shots based on being at the right place at the right time. Like, let's look at the last two people who got a title shot. Dustin Poirier, it was like a short notice call up because there's no one else available when Islam was ready to fight, and they're like, "You're coming off a win, Dustin. Let's go." He found himself at the right place at the right time, and Renato Moicano was the other one, right? So, and if rumors are true, and if they're looking at potentially making Oliveira versus Topuria, which I don't know, like, I still prefer the Islam Makhachev versus Topuria fight, because I mean, he was a champ coming from another division, he's achieved great things. He should be fighting for a title. But if they're making it, then that leaves that vacancy, and Dana's made it clear that Arman has to fight again before he can get a title shot, which leaves Justin Gaethje number 3 in the world, like Dana pointed out. So he has every opportunity to fight for that title. So yeah, man, I'm excited. I'm keen to see how that plays out. That division's always entertaining, always exciting, always something happening. So there's no shortage of drama. Yeah, it was a good fight. And then we had another lightweight fight. This was like a main card of lightweights, to be honest. Like, we had the third fight, which was the Balmondes Jalen Turner fight. Um, yeah, pretty again, short fight for as long as it lasted, man. It was action packed. Jalen Turner was able to floor him, but then Bermondes sort of showcases his grappling skill set, and gets the finish. It was a triangle. He got him and he choked him out. Jalen Turner, like, obviously wanted to. Now we know that he has officially retired. Yeah, congratulations on a good career for him, and obviously thanks for all the entertainment as well. I mean, he clearly made it. Clearly let us know that, or let the fans know that his heart's not in it anymore. At least for the time being, he just needs to take some time off, and which is quite common in a sport like this. It's a brutal sport, and then it could go to dark places, especially when you're not winning, and your mindset is everything in this. And we've seen the likes of Jimmy Crute taking time off, and coming back and performing well. So maybe Turner could come back, but as it stands, he's retired. And then Bahamondes had a stunning victory. He won performance of the night, or one of the recipients of the performance of the night. So yeah, like, he's a prospect, not a prospect anymore, but a fighter to look forward to in that talented division, man, of lightweights.
Memories for Jalen Turner, and it was confusing because there was talk that he went back on his
Yeah,
decision, or he was made in a
yeah,
hastily
yeah,
manner. But all the power to him. The losses do get to you as a
yeah,
competitor, as an
yeah.
ego you have. When you're not good enough, and you
Hmm.
got to just treat it like any other craft, and you just got to try to get better and better until
Yeah,
you feel like you can't get better anymore.
yeah.
But yeah, just quickly on the Gaethje thing, man. As he wins the bonus, quick trivia for you:
Yeah.
how much money has he made in his whole career in
Wait, let me do some
bonuses?
quick. Let me do some quick math. Isn't it 13 bonuses he's won so far? So
I'm not aware of how many bonuses, but I know the total dollar amount.
let me check. Oh, it's going to go 30. Is it 650,000? Am I correct in saying that? Oh, like, he's got more. Whoa. Oh man, that's crazy. And but and yeah, that's true. That's true. But
Yeah,
that's how many. I'm keen to now know Gaethje fight bonuses. Let's see if it comes up with anything. Yeah, he's got 14
yeah.
fight night bonuses. Yeah,
We all know, man.
but
He's going in the Hall of Fame, like when he wants to, like hang it up.
nah, hundred
You know,
percent, man. Like he's been
he's
nothing but
done so much
entertainment.
for the sport.
100%, man. Like 100%, and he's been nothing but entertaining since the day he stepped foot into the UFC octagon against Michael Johnson to today. He's never been in a boring fight. I just don't think I can think of a boring Justin Gaethje fight. So it'll be a shame if he leaves without fighting for that title again. But something tells me, man, something tells me he's going to get the next shot. It's just this weird feeling that I have. Yeah. Okay. Yep. Hmm. Yeah, man. Like I mean, it was just like a yeah. Look, it was a one-sided performance from Lemos. She clearly won. Got the decision. No, it obviously not like not one of the most exciting fights. Um, I just think yeah, I don't know. It was one of those interesting fights because again, Lemos was soundly beat by the current champ in Weili Zhang. So you couldn't tell. I mean, with if was it Jasmine who she fought? Um, if she had won, Lucendo, yeah, Lucendo. If Lucendo had won, then there's probably like a little bit of a progression path. Not like she was next in line for the title or anything, but beating a former title contender would have held a lot of weight. Whereas now with Lemos winning, I just think, yeah, I don't know, like it just kind of the division still stays the same. There's no clear contender. Maybe Yan Xiaonan, who's also lost to the champion. When you got a dominant champ, that's the problem. And then yeah, she could they could fight each other, Lemos and Yan, and see who become the number one contender. But in the meantime, I think the UFC is very keen on making Whaley versus Valentina, or whoever's holding that title, because Valentina's fighting in the Canada pay per view. So yeah, it was an okay fight. Like I mean, it was there. Yeah, it wasn't like it didn't have me like jumping out of my seat. But then, man, what did have me jumping out of my seat was the main card opener. Um, yeah, man, definitely up there. I wouldn't. I mean, there's been some crazy knockouts, especially kicks. If you want to say the kick off. Joaquin Buckley can never be forgotten. At a time when there was a pandemic, he delivered. He delivered something more viral than anything that was going around. So yeah, it's pretty. But this one is up there, man. Given the stakes, and we spoke about this in the breakdown. Green's a seasoned veteran, King Green, and he's been in many fights. And like when it comes to striking, he's pretty good. He's pretty good at what he does. But man, like just like we said, Rufi was just too skilled. I mean, his precision was just up there, and man, he just pretty much dictated the fight, controlled the fight. It was like a beautiful performance to watch for however long it lasted. Um, and we know that the UFC loved it too because not very many times do they show the actual KO straight after a pay per view. They just tend to, just show the video from after the knockouts happen. But now this one was immediately up there, and we see if there's something they like or if there's a guy they like to promote that goes up there straight away. We saw that with Sean O'Malley when he knocked out Aljamain Sterling. So all these kind of things. So terrific performance. Roofies, like more people are getting to know him. I think the UFC loves him. He's pretty determined to climb the rankings, and he's got a solid win now in King Green. And I'd like to see is what's next for him, man. Like someone was suggesting him versus Bam Wonders. I wouldn't mind watching that in the same division. you know,
Viral KO like that
yeah,
with a spinning kick. But I think King Green, first of all, shout out to you because you predicted it. That was the one difference, wasn't it,
yeah, that
in
was
our
one difference.
predictions?
Yeah,
And you knew a little bit more about Ruffy from
yeah,
the Fighting Nerds, was it?
yeah.
Gym
Fighting nerds, Jim.
in
Yeah,
Fighting Nerds, yeah,
Braz- in
in
Brazil.
Brazil.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, so yeah, big things for him. And look, King Green, I feel like he's more of that, gatekeeper at the moment. I don't know.
yeah,
His career's kind of stagnated.
yep. Yeah, I think we said eight, didn't I? I said eight. I'm pretty sure. Um, so how it played out, I mean, there were moments, man, like you can't take that away. There were some shocking decisions in the prelims, right? Fights fell out, so the card didn't really there didn't get any extra favors. Main event was underwhelming. Uh, it just wasn't as action packed as we expected it to be. Like regardless of who won, I think just very slow paced. Co-main was electric. The two fights in the main card, Mamondes and Rufi, stunning performances. Yeah, well, I reckon overall, I'd say probably not one of the craziest cards we've seen. So I'd just rate it 7.5. 7 to 7.5, really. Yeah. What about you?
Yeah, yeah, that's about right, man. Because I feel like, remember I've told you, whenever the belt changes hands, like I was thinking as you said how much of a letdown the main event was. It was in terms of like it went the distance. It had its
Mm,
moments, but it wasn't really like edge of your seat.
correct.
But
Yeah.
the fact that we've got a new champ, like you're always going to remember that pay per view now, and it
Yeah.
arguably is the changing of the guard. So
Yeah.
whilst it wasn't a fully entertaining card like that, but I feel like it's definitely something where it'll live in my memory in terms of like significance. So
Yeah.
I think 7.5, no less than that. Probably not eight,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
yeah, I think we
Yeah, I think
agree.
that's a good place. Yeah, I think that's a good place for this card to see that. And hey, we got a crazy card coming up. 314 Miami. And Miami cards have always delivered, man. Like they've delivered in spades, and this time headlined by none other than our own Alexander the Great Volkanovski. Trying to reclaim his title. We are hopeful that he will be able to. He's going against a game opponent, a tough opponent, but the hopes are up, hopes are there. He's able, the ability, he definitely has the ability. But yeah, we'll do a detailed breakdown later. But pretty exciting card coming up, man. That's got a lot of fights, a lot of good fights in that card too.
Yeah, it certainly does, man. And we've got Jack Della coming up soon as well. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah,
fighting for the championship
Vittori back this weekend for a
this
fight
weekend.
night.
Marvin, the Italian
Yeah.
Dream, Vittori.
So yeah,
Yeah,
we'll be there with our recaps. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Let us know your thoughts on the decision from the main event. Some controversy, but if you watch it again, I feel like I found to be that it's a lot more deserving
yeah,
after my initial reaction. And yeah,
yeah.
and you're always spot on, man, with your analysis. So yeah, well, let's see what happens with Alex. Is he the face of the UFC still? I mean, that's a good question to leave you
It's
guys and DJ. Like, he was the face of the UFC, but
yeah.
he's lost now.
Yeah,
You know.
100%. Like, I mean, look, don't let's not like rain down on the guy just because he's lost. Because let's not forget the great things he's done. He's just been in MMA for 3 years. We got to remember that, and he was able to defend 11 takedowns from someone from Dagestan, who's for them wrestling is their bread and butter. So that is commendable. Look, I mean, he just met a tough opponent. That's what it is, but uh, doesn't take anything away from his legendary run that he had. The storyline, what is a double champ. That's a big accolade in his storied career. panning across not just UFC but MMA as well. Sorry, MMA, but also kickboxing as well. He was a 2 division champ there. And man, look, it's as far as is he the face of the organization. It's a little bit tough when you do lose, especially when the loss is that reason, right? But that doesn't change the fact, like, the popularity doesn't go away with certain fighters. We've seen this, like McGregor's lost a few times, and we've seen every time he comes back, it's still a huge pop, right? And we've found that he's the only the third person to be announced by Bruce Buffer as the one, the only. You know what I mean? So that just sort of shows the
Yeah.
scales he's reached and the stardom he possesses. So it's not that hard to like deny that he's one of those guys who just act as the face of the UFC. Yeah, 100%.
Yep, yep, couldn't have said it better, man. And I'll just make one bold prediction before we conclude. I think we
Let's
still
go.
see a Pereira John Jones fight. Like I still think there's a big chance we get that one day or eventually, and I'll tell you
Yeah,
why. Because Jones still respects his legacy and he feels like it'll add to his legacy.
yeah,
And this is a guy who dominated light heavyweight, so he's going to be looking at him like, "Hey, you used to dominate my old division.
yeah,
Let's go. Let's do it." So maybe after he beats Aspinall, or after he has a chance to fight Aspinall, I think he might not want to retire just yet and might want to give Alex
yeah.
that shot.
Hey,
But
and in
Alex
the
might have to
meantime,
win one more.
yeah, and in the meantime, that's what I was just about to say, that he could get one more. You know what I mean? Or he could even get the title back. We don't know. It's an unpredictable sport. We could sit here and predict and analyze all these things, but at the end of the day, right? Like, who would have thought that like a kickboxer would be going, fighting backwards against a wrestler? So yeah, catch you later, guys.